Hi all, looks like all of our teams are logging in now, so we'll just take a moment and let them get on and then we'll get started. Okay, great. Looks like we've got a majority of the folks on. Welcome everyone to our GoFly Final Fly-Off preparation webinar. We're so excited to give you all the details about the final fly-off in a few weeks. We have a lot to cover, so we're going to move quickly. So please hold your questions. As you all know how to use the Zoom functions by now, use the chat box or the Q&A to post your questions, and we'll get to as many as we can. And obviously, if we cannot address them, we will be sure to follow up with you afterwards. So I'll pass it over to Gwen.
Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us for this webinar. As you can imagine, the entire GoFly team is so very excited to welcome you to California in 3 weeks. You have the team on the line now. We will run through an agenda to provide you with information. Most of this information is information that you would have seen previously in our updates, announcements, and op-docs, but it's always best to have this. So we're just thrilled. We're thrilled that you're coming, and we're thrilled that we are so close to the final fly-off. As a start, let's talk about the schedule and the run of show. As you all know, move-in day is on Wednesday, and John Davis will speak a little bit about that in a little bit. Move-in day is on Wednesday, and that is when we expect all teams to come, regardless of your category. And by category, I mean competitive flight, showcase flight, or static display. We expect everybody to come in on Wednesday. Thursday will be a quiet day, and by quiet, I mean we really don't have any outside guests. It's the teams and it's GoFly for Thursday for our competitive flights. We may have some media there on Thursday as well. Then Thursday night is more of the public kickoff. That's when our official opening ceremonies happen, even though we would have been flying already on Thursday. Thursday night, we have the event at Hiller Aviation Museum, which is about 15, depending on traffic, around 15 minutes away from Moffett. For that event, plan on somewhat cocktail attire. It's nicer than what you would wear on the airfield, but it's certainly not a ball gown or anything like that. So that is Thursday. At that event, we expect to have our speakers, our VIPs, and our teams, and some media as well. And so that should be a fun celebratory evening. And those of you who are not familiar with Hiller, you should look him up. I think you will absolutely love the museum. We could not have picked a better place to start our official program. Then on Friday, we have our competitive teams flying once again. If time, we may have some practice flights, but John will speak to that. So too, on Friday, we have media. And then on Friday, we also have our VIP day. So there is a full schedule starting at 8:30. From 8:30 to around 5 o'clock, we have these talks at NASA Building 3. You all can, when you're not flying, you may attend those talks. They are incredibly exciting speakers. They include the CTOs and the CEOs of major companies, major aerospace companies. They also include a lot of funding experts, so that we have a whole panel from VCs, we have a whole panel from corporate venture capital firms as well. And so that should be informative. It will be all about the topic of what GoFly is doing, what you've all been working on for so long, and it will allow you a lot of opportunities to mix and mingle with these people. Then on Saturday, we have our more public day. On Saturday, we have all of our flying teams, whether you're a competitive flight or a Saturday showcase flight, all of our teams are flying short flights on Saturday. That is when the Disruptor Prize flights will take place. So too, actually, one thing I forgot to mention on Friday, Friday as well, all of the teams who are in the running for the Disruptor Prize Showcase Place, you will have your interviews with Pratt and Whitney on Friday, and we can speak a little bit to that. We'll be scheduling times for all teams with that. And Saturday, we have our more public day. We have a lot of Girl Scouts coming. We have a lot of school children coming. We expect to have hundreds and hundreds, possibly even up to 1,000 people there, lots of media. We have the flights beginning at 11 a.m., probably running until 2 p.m. Then we have the California Air National Guard doing a power rescue jump demonstration for everybody. We also have Vicki Benzing performing a flight. We may have another couple of flights, as well as more of an air show, a mini air show for everyone, and that's exciting. So too, we have a number of STEM activities for all of our school-age children, and they include aviation STEM activities, robotic STEM activities. We would also like for all of our teams to have mix and meet and greet with those students. So we would encourage you to pay it forward and pass on all of the good graces that you've received from your mentors, and have a day where you're interacting with our school-aged attendees as well. Everything then is finalized at around 3 o'clock, we think, on Saturday, where we present all of the big checks for the 4 different prizes: the grand prize, the acoustics prize, the size prize, and the disruptor prize. We then will go back to the VIP tent and have a very short celebratory I guess about an hour there, and then we begin move out and all of that. So just wanted to give you that very quick run of show. You should have already had that from our updates and the websites. Wanted to make sure you had that. One thing that we were asked previously by a couple of teams is, when do we have to be there? If we're only a static display, when do we have to be there? Well, you certainly need to be there on Wednesday. Frankly, we would encourage you to be there the entire time. You certainly need to be there on Wednesday. We would encourage you to clearly attend the Hiller event on Thursday, and frankly be at Moffett on Thursday. Friday, you should absolutely be there, even if you're a static display, because we have all of the VIPs, and each team has their own tent where VIPs will be walking. It'll be a great opportunity for interaction there for you. And then clearly everybody needs to be there on Saturday as well. So we would encourage you to be there the entire time, but there are certainly mandatory times. GoFly designed this fly-off not only to be the culmination of the competition and to be able to award the prizes, introduce this technology to the world, but also to be the founding next step for you for wherever you want to go with your team. And that's one of the reasons why GoFly has worked so hard to set up an incredibly vibrant environment for the VIPs to attend, for funders to attend, for media to attend. We expect a whole lot of interaction for you. So regardless of where you want to take your technology and where you want to take your team, there will be people in place to help you get to the next level. I would encourage every single person to spend as much time as possible interacting with all of the guests and with each other. Insofar as we have built a phenomenal community, and GoFly is designed to help take you to the next level. So just wanted to say those things. To be clear about tickets, we've gotten some questions on tickets. Each team member, this was announced previously, each team member gets 2 free tickets to the, I'm seeing somebody's screen right now, I'm not sure whose screen that is. If someone can take off their screen, thank you. Each team member takes 2 free tickets to the Saturday events. So if you need more tickets to the Saturday events, those are available for purchase. So too, if you have anyone who would want to buy a VIP ticket, those are available to purchase. But in terms of free tickets available, each team member gets 2 tickets for, obviously the teams come themselves, but you get 2 extra tickets per team member for Saturday, to make that clear. competitive flights, Saturday showcase flights, static displays. I think everybody knows this, but if you are a competitor flight for Thursday and Friday, you are automatically flying also on Saturday for the Disruptor Prize flight. So all competitor flights fly Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Saturday showcase Disruptor Prize only flights fly on Saturday only. One call out again, if you are a competitor flight on Thursday, Friday, if you are flying unmanned, you are flying with a dummy, you need to either use the dummy that we have required, or you need to make sure that GoFly has approved your dummy. I believe that we're in good shape there, but if we have not for any team, that is something that must happen immediately in terms of your dummy. So wanted to let you know that. Now I will turn it over to our competition coordinator, John Davis, who will discuss some of the run of show and other matters. So John, take it away, please.
John, we're not able to hear you yet if you are speaking.
Okay, while that is being worked out, why don't we turn it over to Sky, if you can speak about the FPRs. That will be helpful while John is getting his, the voice working.
All right, sound check.
Yeah, all good.
Okay, good. Okay, so the FPRs, so yeah, sign up as soon as possible. You know, once you've flown something and you feel that you've done enough and you have an experience to be able to demonstrate that you can operate safely at Moffett Field, let us know, and we'll get that scheduled. You are running out of time, so if you don't, if you don't get that done next week, then your chances of getting it done at all are slim to none. So get it done. I've been asked to highlight the difference between the kind of the competitive and showcase FPR. It's basically both involve a range safety review to make sure that you aren't going to fly outside the flight boundaries or unexpectedly run out of fuel or energy. And then for competitive teams, it's there's a little bit more involved because GoFly needs to coordinate with you to make sure that one, you haven't overlooked anything, that you're doing everything exactly by the book, because if you follow 99.9% of the rules, then you still don't get a prize. You need to really be 100% compliant. And so this is GoFly's last chance to check with you so that you still have a little bit of time to make those changes and get your prior flight in before the competition. And then it goes the other way too. So you need, depending on what you're going to bring, you need to let GoFly know so that GoFly is prepared to measure you for the competition, so that you can be measured, so that you can get a prize. So that's really important. The other thing to mention, moving on from the FPR, is that when you do show up, FPRs, you don't need to have your full kind of 10 full flight demonstrations worth of prior flight done. You do need to have that done by the time you show up at Moffett Field. So you guys have all seen the GoFly team certification document. It's basically saying that you're going to confirm that you've done all that prior testing, that you've complied with all the instructions, and those instructions include all of the to-dos and fix-me's and action items that you get from your FPR. And the other reminder is that you're required to do kind of full rehearsals of whatever you plan to do at the fly-off before you show up to Moffett. And if one thing to point out that was recently announced, just to clarify, but a clarification was put on the update section of the website, is that if you need to disassemble your device in order to get it to Moffett and reassemble it, then part of your prior flight rehearsals need to involve practicing reassembling your device and then flying it after you've reassembled it. So you need to have done that sequence of events before you come to Moffitt, just to be clear. And that's, of course, a safety thing. We don't want to make sure that you have practice, doing those assembly steps, because there are things that can go wrong if you're reassembling your device. We want you to have some experience doing that before you come to Moffitt and where there are buildings and members of the public around. I think that's all that I have to cover until we get to the Pratt & Whitney prize section.
Great. John, are you available now to do it, or shall we continue on? Okay, not hearing John. Let's go to Sue and Jim to just, John, you're on now? John, can you hear us? Nope. Okay, let's go to Sue and Jim to discuss the FAA process and Half Moon Bay.
Good morning, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Great. Good morning. This is Sue Gardner, and Jim Gardner's here. We are getting very excited about seeing everybody soon. I'd like to start first with our process for the FAA, some additional forms that we will be completing for each of the teams that are either in a competition flight or in a showcase flight for the FAA. We will have all of that information based on the certification activity that you've been doing, so we will pre-fill it and be submitting it to each of those teams for review over the course of the next couple of weeks. In addition to that, for those teams who are planning to fly prior to the event at Moffett Field at Half Moon Bay, Jim and I will be there starting February 20th to meet and greet with those teams that are going to be flying there or doing certification activity there. There will be a safety presentation, PowerPoint presentation that each team will have to complete prior to flying at Half Moon Bay, and we'll be coordinating with you to make sure that there's not overlap of the teams flying, so that we can deconflict and deconflict frequencies, things of that nature. I don't think that having confliction with schedules is going to be much of a problem, but we want to ensure that that's happening. If you are a team that is planning to come to Half Moon Bay, please make sure that you have coordinated with us and we have the scheduled date of arrival. And also it's important for that, particularly for those who are either getting their observation flight done by the FAA or you're doing a certification activity with the FAA. And we'll send reminders back out to each team to gather that information. A quick reminder for those teams flying at Moffett, you must be operating under a certificate of authorization unless you're a manned aircraft. And for those that are unmanned aircraft, either flying with a special flight authorization or receiving an experimental certificate, you cannot fly in the airspace until you have received your FAA certification documents. So, so just a reminder about that. I think everybody's aware of it, but it's just a quick reminder. Those are the couple items that we wanted to discuss, Gwen. So unless there's any questions, we can move on to our next presenter.
Thank you very
Mark
much.
Ellis just had a comment.
Okay,
Mark
great.
Ellis
Thank
just
you.
with a quick comment. You need to include that they can't be flying if we don't get their RF systems checked out.
We have that on the agenda. Thank you. Okay, so we received a question regarding dummies for the competitive flyers, and to be clear, GoFly is not providing those dummies. That message has gone out multiple times. All competitive flyers need to provide their own dummies, and they need to be either the simulated dummy that was pre-approved, or you need to have approval from us. So just want to be clear on that. That question just came in. Let's move over. John Davis, do you have audio at the moment? Okay, still not hearing that. Let's go to our air bosses. Don and Nan Walsh, could you take it away?
Good morning, everyone. We're moving forward, and we found out the real reason that it wasn't going too fast is that the inspector in charge, FA Fizzo, was assigned to a class in Oklahoma City. So he's in Central Time, but when he gets out of class, he's hitting it hard, and we expect to have it done here shortly.
Okay, John, and then is there anything that you would like to tell all of our teams regarding the pre-flight talks or anything that they need to know from you as they prepare for the fly-off?
Yeah, there'll be a briefing every morning before they join the airspace, and we'll discuss a sequence of events. Don't consider it a schedule. We're not going to rush anybody, but we're going to keep people on time and use the time effectively. If somebody needs more time, we'll have more than one team ready to go and they can take that block of time, but we will keep it moving. We'll have daily briefings. If we need to debrief at the end of the day, usually we do it the next day at the next morning briefing, but if there's something pertinent anybody wants to talk about, we'll be there to talk about it.
The timing of these are on the schedule that's been sent, but I believe that for tentative purposes on Thursday and Friday, it will be a 6 a.m. briefing. That is a mandatory briefing for the teams. If you are not there, you may not fly that particular day. So obviously very important that you make those two meetings on Thursday and Friday. On Saturday, the briefing will be tentatively scheduled for 9 a.m. For the showcase flyers and all the rest of the teams, as well as the air show performers.
Great, thank you. Thank you to our air bosses. Thank you, John and Nan. Okay, now I'll put myself back on. Great. In terms of forms, let us repeat once again. We know certain teams have been set in stone since day one. Other teams are still bringing on new members. You may not have a team member unless that member has signed the MTA, the MRA, the PIAA. So that's just a first step, as you all know, for almost 2.5 years. There are no team members besides those members who have signed all of those documents. So too, you recently have had a number of different other documents. There is the Google Planetary Adventures release. That is because they are our hosts as well at Moffett, so that must be signed. So too, the NASA security forms, those must be signed, and in fact, they must be signed today. And that is especially important for those who are non-US citizens. There is a NASA internal review having nothing to do with GoFly for security clearance. Those forms must be in today. Nidhi, I know you need to speak on that as well. Let me just do the one more form that you will be asked to sign. Many teams have been submitting their recent certificate stating that the flyer that they are flying at the fly-off is one and the same from what has passed the FAA review and the FPR. That form needs to be signed on Wednesday, February 26th when you're there, when you show up, because we assume that you are still working on your FDRs and your FAA pathways and all of that. So that form must be signed on Wednesday. We wanted to give it to you ahead of time so that you had it, so you knew it, and if you need your counsel to review it, that you had ample opportunity to do so. So those are the forms that need to be signed for everyone. Most everyone is in good shape, but just needed to repeat that. And Nidhi, I know that you wanted to address the NASA form as well.
Yeah, so the NASA form is really quick, very short, shouldn't take you any more than 30 seconds to complete. It does not require a signature. So all of the team captains out there are team members. You might actually have all of the information for your team members, their name, date of birth, country of citizenship, those kinds of things for insurance. So if you can fill out those forms for them, great, fill them out and send them back. We only have a handful of forms back from you guys, so we really do need them in order to submit them to NASA. We will try and get as much time from NASA as we can, but unless you get security clearance from them, you will not be attending the fly-off. So please make sure that you complete that form and send it back to us today.
And thank you, Nidhi. And we cannot stress enough, this is not GoFly. This is our host. This is NASA. You must do this, or else you will not be. You could have the winning entry. You could have worked for 2.5 years, and you will not be allowed on the premises to fly unless you get back those forms. Just need to be clear about that. We also not sure if John Davis can speak now, or if we should go to frequencies with David Josephson. John Davis, is your audio up and running?
I'm here. Good morning.
Hi, David. Give me 1 second. Let me just see if John Davis can speak first. John, is your audio up and running? No. Okay, Nidhi, can you go offline for a minute and help him to call in? Maybe can't have him just check out and then call in again. Great. And then, David, if you would speak about the urgency of frequency. This is another issue, right? We've got the NASA security form, and then we also have this frequency form that you need to fill out. These are all NASA requirements, and so these are kind of like no-go things. GoFly can't even get you out of this route around it. These are absolutely required. So with that introduction, this is David Josephson, who is our lead for acoustics. So David, take it away.
Good morning, Gwen. Good morning, everybody. Yes, as Mark mentioned, it's a critical importance primarily for our safety considerations. We want to make absolutely certain that every team is using radio frequencies appropriately and not stepping on any other team while they're flying. So we have a coordination committee with some really great people helping out, a couple of seasoned RF engineers and some NASA people and some Army people. Our other issue, which is secondary for GoFly, but primary in the bigger picture, is that we are coordinating with several other government agencies, the National Guard, and NASA, and so on, so that we're not stepping on any frequencies that are in use at Moffett. So you all have information for a short Google questionnaire. I can't stress enough, if you're having issues with these questions, if you don't know all of the numbers that apply to the radio equipment that you're using for your links and telemetry and video, reach out. We'll help you to figure out what the right application is and the right citation is, so that we can all put together a package that will get approved by the NASA Spectrum Management Office. That's the main point. We'll make sure that everyone gets there. I should report that about half of the flying teams have already signed in, and I've got almost all of them cleared as green in my spreadsheet, which means that I think we have a good chance of being able to prove that they won't conflict with anything. But any questions, please reach out.
Thank you very much, David. I truly appreciate that. Very quickly, one thing that we did not mention thus far that we need to mention is no one is allowed in the team pits unless they are a team member. That is in the ops document. I'm just calling that out for you, and our team can speak about it also. One other thing, Sky, do you want to just touch briefly upon the shipping and the reassembly message that went out to teams?
Yeah, I covered that earlier, but I'll just repeat that part of your prior flight minimum requirements will be practicing reassembling, then flying your device before you get to Moffett.
Okay, thank you. Kevin, our event producer, do you want to speak to me, move in or move out right now? Otherwise, we can have John take care of it as well. Okay, not getting Kevin now. Then moving along, in terms of your teams, GoFly needs to know how many members of your teams will be attending. We have certain teams with only 2 people in their team, so we know that, but there are teams with around 30 people. We don't know exactly who is attending. We need to know that for numbers, for our planning purposes. We'd like to know that today. If you can please send a list to info@goflyprize.com of all of the team members attending the fly-off today, or attending the fly-off in 3 weeks, but if you can send that list today, that will be helpful in terms of planning. We need to make sure we have enough space for everybody at all of the different events and in all of the different tents that we have. We're actually building this site on Moffett Airfield, and so we have tents and we need chairs and all of that, and if you can't tell us how many people you have, we may not be able to have all the seats and everything that we need for you. So quite simply, please get that to us. We presume that everyone will be attending the entire time from Wednesday all through Saturday. If that is not the case, please let us know as well. All right, and moving on to the Pratt & Whitney Disruptor Prize and how we are working all of that. As we stated before, all teams that are flying are eligible for the Pratt & Whitney Disruptor Prize. Those flights will take place on Saturday. When you arrive on Wednesday, we will, in front of everyone, have the time periods for Friday interviews. All teams will be interviewed by Pratt & Whitney on Friday. As announced previously, team Pratt & Whitney will be reviewing your phase 2 submissions. You were all also encouraged to send in there were 2 additional questions that you can answer through the same submission platform that you used for all other phases of the competition. So Pratt & Whitney will be reviewing those, and they will be interviewing each team. I believe that's probably about for 20 minutes or so each on Friday, and then they will be witnessing your flights on Saturday. Nidhi, is there anything else that you would like to add about the Pratt & Whitney pricing?
The deadline, unless you already covered it, for the actual, for their part of the submission is next Friday, February 14th. So please be sure and get those in on time. It is a very, very short form. So for everyone flying, there's no excuse not to fill it out. You should completely make yourselves eligible for this prize. If you do not complete the form, you will not be able to get an interview with them. So please be sure and do so. It's just like submitting all of your other your GoFly submissions via the HeroX platform, and you can find it easily just by going to the phase 2, phase 3 website.
Should you have any questions or any issues with that, please reach out to us at info@goflyprize.com. We would encourage you to submit those additional 2 questions. It's just a better opportunity for you. Clearly, you'll have the interview. You'll be able to say whatever you want during that time, but it's just better for you as well. Then
Can I add something about the Pratt & Whitney prize?
Yes, please.
Yeah. So since all teams will be flying on Saturday, the advice is for you to, when you do your showcase flights, to plan that flight so that it is as impressive as it can be, to show off what you and your device is good at. Since there will be more teams flying on Saturday, you might not have time to show off, say, endurance, but don't worry about that, because Pratt & Whitney, they will still have access to the data if you did a competitive flight. So don't worry about needing to show off that you were capable of doing the entire competitive flight on Thursday and Friday, because they will have access to that, and they'll know. So just keep that in mind when you're designing what you want your showcase flight profile on Saturday to be.
Thank you for that, Sky. Now, do we either have John Davis or Kevin with audio ability right now?
So John doesn't have audio, but he is speaking separately with Sky about some additional things he'd like to have covered.
Great. And Kevin, were you able to get off mute or not yet?
We are trying.
Okay, and we will keep moving along then. In terms of decisions and judging and all of that, we remind all teams to go through the technical rules and guidelines and the overview. All decisions are final. Everyone signed the MTA speaking about exactly that. We expect graciousness from all of the teams, and actually legally you signed such things saying that would be the way it is. So everyone is very clear about how the prizes will be awarded, what the criteria are for all of them. We expect you to adhere to all of it, and we expect whether win or no win that all teams are gracious, and we would encourage you once again to look at all of the documents that you signed regarding your behavior on everything to do with prizes and prize awards in the entire competition. If there is no winner of the grand prize, and we are really rooting for all of you. We want you to take away this grand prize. If there is no winner for the grand prize, GoFly will regroup and decide how to proceed with potentially awarding a prize at a future date. But there are a lot of stakeholders in that, and so GoFly will need time. It is our sincerest desire to be able to award all 4 prizes on Saturday, and that is why from day one, GoFly has been so involved in terms of helping all of our teams along the way with mentorship and FAA guidance and everything else. So just wanted to let you all know we are thinking about that. Excuse me, potentiality, and we're hoping that the prizes are certainly won. Let's go shortly to I guess our press team. To I think Julie is handling that. We have organized the fly-off so that we expect media, press, television crews to be there throughout the event. We expect to have a good amount of interaction between reporters and television reporters as well, and the team. So there will be most likely interview requests for all teams. Obviously, the reporters will decide, who they want to interview and how and all of that. But our GoFly Comms team will be helping to coordinate that for all of our teams. So you will mostly shortly hear from our team, Julie and Bruce, who will be coordinating all of that. So along those lines, once again, reminders for speaking with the press and expectations. We expect you to focus on your fabulous creations, your flyers, and clearly no disparagement of other teams or any of our sponsors or GoFly or anything like that, which is you've signed non-disparagement clauses. But we expect you all to be gracious competitors towards each other, towards everyone involved in the competition. Once again, reminder for all of you to read your media rights agreement. In that media rights agreement, which every single competitor signed, it states that you cannot make recordings available or anything like that without GoFly's approval. So all media, all communications, all recordings, all of that will be run out of GoFly. Should you wish to make anything available to the public, you just need to run it by us first. As you have seen for over the past 2.5 years, I don't think we've ever said no once to any team. It certainly needs to be coordinated, and GoFly has the prerogative to be able to say no through that media rights agreement. So I just want to make everybody clear on that. And Julie or Bruce, anything to add about teams and coordination of interviews and how that will work with press?
This is Bruce. Good morning, everybody, or good afternoon, depending on where you are, or good evening. Just to let you know, as Gwen said, we have a number of media scheduled to attend. That includes print and television on both a national and international level. And we anticipate that as we get closer in the next 2 weeks or so leading up, we will have more media sign on. Right now there's about a dozen or so print and then some national media. In addition to covering the event, both 60 Minutes and which is CBS, and PBS are doing future type things. PBS is working on a Nova documentary about electric flight, and will be doing some filming and interviews while at GoFly, most likely Friday and Saturday. For that, 60 Minutes is also working on a segment about the future of flight, and we'll also have a producer on site and a camera. Although they're not doing a live segment, they will want to reach out and speak to some of the teams. As Gwen mentioned, Julie and I will be on site with Sean Cassidy, who is another member of our team, and Javid Lewis, who heads our social media, will be on site, and we will help. We will facilitate. If there's, we will be there for interviews, so that, and we'll bring in some people from our San Francisco team to make sure that you're comfortable with any questions that are asked, and if we have to intervene, we will. But it looks like we'll have some nice media there, and it's deserved of media. One thing that would help tremendously, if it's possible for all the teams to forward to me through press at GoFly Ties, any video or photos of your actual flying in some way, shape, or form. That is a request that we are getting from some of the national outlets so that they can envision what they will see. It will help them plan accordingly in terms of cameras, in terms of other things that they may want to do. So if I can get that, anything, like I said, video or photos of your teams in action today, or certainly Monday at the very latest, that will be a tremendous help and will definitely greatly impact the media attention for this. I think that is it for now. I presume that everybody's willing to do interviews because you've signed the forms that Gwen mentioned and are eager to do so to get attention. We may have some specific requests because it's a local outlet looking at a local team. They would probably want to spend a little bit more time than some of the others because there's that local interest to it. But again, we'll coordinate everything.
Great. Thank you, Bruce, and thank you, Julie. Thank you, DKC team. One question that we have received in terms of point people at the event. While you're at the event, if there's anything that you need, our team point person will be, our point people will be Sue and Jim Gardner. You have all been working with them. You have their email. So that will be your team point person. As always, you can always use the info at GoFly Prize email as well, but on site, your point people will be the Gardners. So want to make everybody aware of that. Another thing to make everybody aware of is sponsors. Many of you have team sponsors. Most of your teams have been phenomenal about having that GoFly approval process for your sponsors. As you all know, all of your team sponsors must be approved by GoFly. There is a document that has been out for 2.5 years. It's the sponsor approval form. You can find it in the document section of the HeroX websites that we run. Any single sponsor that you have for your team must be approved by GoFly. If you have not done so, fill out that form so we can give you approval. We approve basically within 24 hours. It's a very quick process. It should take 30 seconds, but you may not show up with a sponsor who has not been approved by GoFly.
Gwen, this is Art Ragaz. Forgive me for interrupting, but we have Bruce on, and we've been talking about how critical it is to get these responses on frequency. I sent an email. We still haven't seen a response for the requirements for the media. This is all RF, including transmissions and wireless microphones. If we don't, we're running out of time.
Understood. I believe David spoke to that, and GoFly internal can handle that as well. David, do you have anything else to say on that?
Yeah, that is, I'll just underline what Art said. I have him back and forth on emails this morning with several of the internal GoFly video and production crews. We still don't have information from them.
Okay.
So if you can heat up that channel with those folks, that'll be helpful.
Okay, so that's a GoFly internal thing. So let's keep this to addressing for teams right now.
Correct, but I'll use this opportunity to underline for the teams. I have about half of the responses that I need. So any team that is planning to use any kind of radio transmitter to control their device, we need their information. And if you're not clear about the information, reach out sooner rather than later and we'll help you do it.
Thank you very much, David. Okay. And thank you,
Just
Mark.
to add, it will be helpful if you don't have any radio transmitters and you don't have any RF. It's also helpful for GoFly to know that.
We've got one of those, Sky.
Okay, good mention. So clearly teams, we cannot stress this enough. This is like the NASA security form. This is NASA security, NASA frequency. We need this information. We need this immediately. We cannot help you out of this if you don't get us this information, because you will not be approved to fly by that. So I think that's been stated now 3 times. Let's, I hope we are transmitting the importance of it to all of you. Okay. Then and just a quick touch upon, and then we're going to take it over to Sky and to John Davis again. Quick touch upon the Saturday events with the Girl Scouts. We certainly, and the other students, as mentioned before, we'd like for you to have some meet and greets and interactions with them. We will organize that. If there's any reason why you do not want to do that, let us know. Otherwise, we will assume a blanket. All teams are participating in a give back to the next generation. And by that, it's just engagement. It's speaking about your flyer and how you got involved and all of that. And just want to be clear on that. Nidhi, is there anything else that you want to mention regarding STEM interactions and the younger set?
No, I think we're all set.
Okay, great. Now turning it over to Sky regarding Sky and Don Davis regarding those competitive flights and the showcase flights.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, perfect. Welcome.
You finally can. Okay, amazing. Okay, Sky, I need to, I guess, ask you to punch through these as we go. So go to the next slide, please. Taxonomy. Actually, very much of what I'm going to say is probably going to be a recap of what everybody else has been saying that I have not been able to actually hear all of it. Anyway, just the taxonomy, the definitions. We talk about competitive flyer. That's the person of the team that is wanting to win the prizes, to be eligible for the prizes. We talk about showcase only. That's the teams that will just be doing a short demonstration on Saturday, and they will only be eligible for the Pratt & Whitney Disruptor Prize. When we talk about the combination of competitive and showcase only, we just say showcase flyer. In addition to that, having the static display exhibitors, and they will not fly. Next, please. Next, okay. Here's just the overview of the competition for those that are going for the prize. Good graphic here showing the takeoff, then completing 6 laps around the half nautical mile course, coming in, doing a touch and go, noticing that the takeoff and landing is a 30-foot diameter circle with a imaginary 12-foot high fence around it. After the touch and go, doing a loiter such that the total flight time is greater than 20 minutes. Next. This is just trying to stress the schedule. On Wednesday, the team orientation meeting, which we do need to have everybody at. That will be nominally from 9 a.m. to noon, hopefully shorter, but got a long list of things we want to talk about. Then in the afternoon, move in. And I believe as the Walshes noticed, on each morning that we are flying, there will be a pre-fly briefing. It will be dominantly the safety aspects that need to be discussed and the notional schedule sequence of events, I think as was pointed out, not a rigid time frame schedule. We will be flexible and operate as much as we can. So those going for the prizes, the competitive flyers, that will be done on Thursday and Friday. Thursday evening, starting in the evening, there is the reception at the Hillary Museum. Saturday, pre-flight meeting at 9, showcase flights starting at 11 to 2. And again, that includes the competitive flyers and the showcase only, followed by the air show, followed by awards, and then moving out by 6 p.m. in the evening. Next. Relative to the power which will be supplied at GoFly, the guide to GoFly operations, or the OpStock, states what we will have there: 210 volt, 20 amp drops. In revision 1 of the OpStock, we indicated that competitive flyers would receive an upgrade paid by GoFly if it is approved by it. Do note that this is a 2-step process. Needs to be approved, and then we need to assign the costs. GoFly may have the team contract directly with the power supplier. Further, I'm not sure it's been previously stated, but power will only be available from 7 a.m. until 7 p.m. Any upgrades to the power supply or those times will have to be negotiated directly with the vendor and paid for by the participant. Next. And just a summary, it's been stressed all the way along here. What are the requirements to be allowed to fly? For the competitive flyers, for the showcase only, you need FAA certification. You need to pass your flight planning review, recognizing that that is slightly different between the competitive and showcase only, a little less stringent for showcase only. The frequency spectrum coordination approval that has been emphasized, attending the team orientation meeting on Wednesday, and then attending the pre-flight briefings. You only really need to be there if you are planning to fly that day. But if you're planning to fly, then you must attend, and attendance will be taken. Next. Just kind of an overview of flying. Plan to have at least a preliminary set of sequence of flights of flyers at the team orientation meeting on Wednesday. And then each pre-fly day will again give a tentative for that day, recognizing that unforeseen circumstances happen and it may well be jostled as we go through. Competitive flyers will certainly have one attempt at the course, weather permitting, and we hope to be able to allow additional attempts. But if you have a second or more attempt, the final score that we were using will all come from the same flight. Can't pick the noise from one flight and the speed from another. It's all from the same flight. Competitive flyers will always have priority on use of the airfield. Practice flights by showcase only flyers will be considered to the extent that we are able to fit it in. Next. Just a quick overview. I think hopefully you've seen these charts in the ops doc. An overview of the airfield. Next slide. Zeroing in from that previous slide, showing where the two pylons will be located for flying. You can see the circle for the microphone locations, and in the center of that will be our takeoff and landing spot. Then in the very lower right-hand corner is where the team operations centers will be located. Then just near there, we've got two staging areas. Concept is that we'll have the next person, next team planning to fly in one of the staging areas, and then they back up to fill in if the on-deck one can't do it for some reason or the other, and just swapping back and forth. Won't make you physically move, just redesignate the areas. Next slide. Other way.
So can I add real quick that this is the takeoff and landing area circled by microphones for your showcase flight. That will be the closest point to the standby areas where you can take off and land, but your spectators will be over in this kind of yellow area primarily. So when you're planning your showcase flight, if you want to move a little bit further south so the spectators can have a better view of how, so that you can show off a bit better what your device is good at, and keep that in mind when you're planning your flight.
Yeah, you are allowed to fly within the flight boundary area there, more toward where the spectators will be. Okay, just again, zeroing in, showing more clearly where the staging areas are compared to your team operations centers, and then where the spectators will be, and hangar one there at the lower part. Next. And just a summary of reminders, particularly for the competitive flyers, go in and review all of the guidelines, the rules, specifically sections 2 through 4. You will be evaluated against each of those subsections. Most of them are just a pass-fail, or they're for speed and noise. There certainly are the metrics, the measurables. And it was, as emphasized before, you need to pass everything and meet all the threshold values in order to be eligible for the prize. Also encourage you to review the guide to the GoFly operations, the ops doc, and a reminder that all deliveries must use the Ellis Street gate, and everyone else is supposed to use the Ellis Street gate. So that's all I have to say. I probably have repeated a great deal of what other people have said, but hopefully some new information there. Thank you. Over and out.
Thank you, John. Appreciate that. And thank you, Sky. Want to open it up for questions. 3 very quick things. Believe we addressed, but just want to make sure we touch upon for clarity. All flying teams have the ability to speak on our VIP day from around 3:30 to 5 p.m. So if you are a competitive flight or a showcase flight, we are trying to make it available for you to be able to speak in front of all of the VIPs on a full day of speeches that we have. Boeing CTO, Pratt & Whitney CTO, CEO of WIS, CEO of Aurora, CEO of well, just tons, and we have the whole schedule there, and you've been sent that. So we are expecting the ability to have short team speeches. So if you want to think about that or prepare something, that's great. Depending upon the number of teams that we have flying, and you're still all going through your FAA pathways, so we're not sure exactly, but we expect somewhere between 5 and 10 minutes for each team to be able to speak, each flying team to be able to speak. So something for you to know. Dress, we went over dress code for Hiller. At the rest of the time, be comfortable. Most of our attendees will be in business casual. You're flying, so safety comes first, whatever works best for you. But there will be media around, so just know that as you're interviewed and you're deciding how you wish to dress. Kind of up to you, but just want to know what will be around. Kevin, anything to add regarding move-in? I think it was really covered for the most part. I just want to know if there's anything you want to add to the teams before we open it up for questions. Okay, not hearing anything. Nidhi, do you want to take over for some questions? We are now just over the hour, so we will try to allot as much time as we can for questions and get you off on the rest of your days.
Can we bring in promotional materials from sponsors?
Everything that you bring in must be approved by GoFly regarding your sponsors. So we would encourage you, or not we would encourage you, if you are interested in bringing in anything promotional material from sponsors, email us at info@goflyprides.com. We will review that. Please note that there is no sponsor display area for any of your sponsors. So if there is promotional material, it could potentially be in your individual team tents, but those are really working tents. And so let's handle that one-on-one. Teams, email us if there's anything that any of your team sponsors that you would like to have promotional materials about. Good question. Thank you for bringing that up, whoever wrote that.
Will we be providing a letter to clear customs at the border or some sort of for a shipping agent?
Nidhi, I think you are the best person to answer that one.
We, as we have done so before, all of you that have asked for letters of invitation, we are happy to provide that. If you give us the names of the people that require them and whoever your drivers are or whoever is clearing across the border with a car, let us know and we can send letters. Beyond that, you'll need to let us know what else is required in the letter, but we're not able to provide anything that's customs related. We can just provide a letter of invitation.
Great.
Should we bring our team name banner? Will it be provided by GoFly?
You can certainly bring your team name banner. I'm presuming this is some kind of signage or banner. A good place for that would be in your team tent. And as the team tent dimensions have already been publicized in the operations document and all of that, know that these are primarily working team tents. So, you're here to, first of all, be safe and show flight. And if you're not flying and you're a static display, then to show, obviously, your static display and everything that you've been working on. But should you wish to internally decorate that, that's certainly a possibility, with the caveat of let us know your sponsors and let us know what you want to do with those tents, just to make sure that it is in keeping with the spirit of GoFly and GoFly rules and guidelines.
Can competitors have a generator?
Okay, so all power will need to be run through GoFly. So GoFly, both in the ops doc and on this call, have announced what power is available. Should you wish to have additional power, you must go through the GoFly power supplier. You may not bring on your own power. Everything must go through, I believe his name is Peter. His information can be found not only in what you saw today, but in the ops doc as well. So all power must be through, must be either provided by GoFly, or if it is additional, must be through Peter. No other outside sources of power are allowed. Does anyone want to add that, either Kevin or Sky or John? Anything to add to that?
That is my understanding.
Great. Okay, great. Thank you.
For teams staying at the NASA dorms, does access close at a certain time?
I know that there is a late night code. Is a good question, though. NASA gates are open all of the time. Kevin, do you want to speak to that, if you can speak to that?
Yeah, Gwen, can you hear me? Sound check?
Yes, thank you.
Great. So the check-in hours are between 9 a.m. and 7 a.m. and 10 p.m.
For check-in, that is?
for check-in only, but
Okay.
they can access those dorms 24 hours a day.
Thank you.
Gwen,
Yes.
Art Ragazza, the main gate is open 24 hours a day. The Ellis Street gate closes late at night.
Thank you for that. Appreciate that, Art.
Okay, next question. If we have 2 entries for the Pratt & Whitney Disruptor Prize, how can we fill out 2 forms online? There only seems to be space for 1.
Nidhi, I think that is through you, and I think that whoever that team is, send an email to info@GoFlyPrize, and we will work through that with you.
Right now online, you're only able to submit 1 entry for that prize. Is it required to satisfy 20-minute flight plus 10 minutes reserve, even if a team wants to compete for the acoustics prize?
Yes. According to the rules, both the acoustics prize and the size prize are given for fully compliant flights. I'm not sure the exact wording, but that is the intention. Sky, do you want to address that as well?
That's correct. You need to be eligible for the grand prize, which means executing your reserve demonstration if you want to be eligible for any of the other acoustics or size prize.
What if there isn't good enough weather? Do you have a contingency plan?
Yes, we, as noted in the ops doc, can start and stop flights, and then the flight days will slide as well. So that will be obviously a game time decision, but we have some flexibility. The best thing is to have everyone stay and do it immediately rather than have everybody go home and then come back. That we are not doing that. Well, I can't say we're not doing that, but that is not what is planned, and that is not what anybody wants to be doing.
Where does a remote pilot on the ground stand during the flight for laps?
Sky or John, do you want to take that?
Yeah, I'll take it. So if you saw the map with the like the standby areas, like the on deck areas, there that's if you can do your operations from there for remote piloting, then that's where you'll be expected to set up. If you need to be closer for any reason, then that will be coordinated during the FPR, and you need to let us know.
Okay. Is there an area for powered grounds runs asides from the showcase flights and our static display? And are fire crews on hand for this? And can the vehicle be run up on the ground loc for this, for PR purposes?
I'm not understanding two of those three questions. Yes, there are fire crews available, but I'm not understanding the other.
So the answer
yes.
to powered ground runs, you may not power on your vehicle anywhere outside of the flying boundary. So you may not power it on in the team operations centers, not in the standby and on deck areas, only within that boundary on the map where flying is allowed. May you power on the vehicle.
Colin, if that doesn't answer your question, please clarify again, but hopefully that does. Can we fly our subscale model as well on the showcase day?
So all teams that will be flying subscale, I believe, are already working with Gardners and the FAA on that. The short answer is yes, you can. And if you are not already in that process, I'm not sure if you'll be able to, just because there are only 3 weeks left and we've been on that. So let us know, but the answer is yes.
So there's a comment that power being cut at 7 p.m. might be a problem. And so, Stephen, I would suggest that you email us at info@ and clarify what power requirements you might have, and the team can have a conversation. Any other questions? Gwen, I would suggest some clarity. I know that some teams have reached out and have said that they are bringing students to help, interns, other folks that may not have been involved sort of day to day in their engineering and design, but are there to support the team. If you can clarify what is required of them in terms of agreements, as well as whether or not they're allowed to come to the events at Hiller on Wednesday, can they come to VIP on Friday? Where can those folks go, and what are they required to submit?
Okay. So the only people who can be part of your team are your team members, official team members who have signed all of the documents. If you have interns and all of that, they can't be a part of your team. They can't be near your team pits. They're not allowed to be, in your team tents at non-public times. You need to have all of your team members sign all the forms. If they are not signing those forms, they are absolutely not part of your team. In terms of how they get around, what events they can attend, as stated before, each team member is entitled to 2 Saturday-only tickets. If you would like to have people attend Hiller or Friday or any of that, they need to purchase a VIP ticket. The only people who are invited to everything have VIP tickets, or they are your team members. All team members are invited to everything. Each team member, once again, gets 2 Saturday-only tickets, but in terms of having participation in everything, ticketing is required. I should also make clear that for your team tickets, your free tickets, NITI had sent around a site. You need to register them to make sure that they are getting their free team tickets. And that should really be done ahead of the fly-off. That is for GoFly planning purposes, because as you can imagine, having so many people moving from one aspect of our programming to another requires that we know exactly what the numbers are.
Other questions?
Okay, not hearing any right now from NITI. I would say Congratulations to all of you. You have made it this far, 854 teams, and you are the teams that are here 3 weeks out. Well done, seriously well done, regardless of whether you are a static display team or a showcase flight team or a competitive flight team. You have made it, which means that you are certainly champions. I will remind you once again, safety is our #1 priority at the fly-off, and certainly over the next 3 weeks as you lead up to the fly-off. Please lean hard on safety. That is the most important thing for everyone. We really have worked so very hard to make the fly-off a launching pad for you for whatever you decide to do next. And so we encourage you to become robust participants of the fly-off, to be engaged in everything that we do, and to enjoy yourself. Seriously, well done. It was really hard. If this were easy, you wouldn't need a $2 million prize. So thank you to everybody, certainly to all of our GoFly colleagues and to all of the GoFly teams. We cannot wait to see you in 3 weeks. Should you have any particular questions, do not hesitate to reach out to us. We are absolutely here to help you, and we are so looking forward to seeing you.
Gwen, I apologize. We have one last quick question
Sure.
that came through. I'm potentially just a one-man team. If we are in the competitive flight and are flying remotely, will a visual observer besides the pilot be required? And would that person be provided by the competition?
I'm going to let Sky handle that. GoFly is not providing additional backup for each of the teams. You are in charge of your own flights, but Sky or John, do you want to answer that?
That's correct. The team is responsible for the entirety of their own crew.
Okay. All set?
All right. Well, thank you all. You know how to reach us. I'm sure that there will be many more questions that come up for each team. We are here to answer them. As you can see from the people that spoke and the people online, we have a very big crew set to welcome you with an incredibly safe and an incredibly exciting event. Well done. Keep us posted and let us know how we can help you. Thanks all. Take care. Have a wonderful day and a very safe next 3 weeks. Bye-bye.
Thank you.